In this video, I will show you different ways you can use the Literacy Center of Expertise Phonics Stories 11 through 20. The suggested activities have been adapted from ESL for All. I will show you the activities with an example book, but you could use these ideas with any of the 10 stories. As literacy learners need to interact with books multiple times, this video will show you different foci for each time you interact with phonics stories. I will show you a few examples of how you could use oral language, read the story together, practice blending words with short vowel sounds, and finally, how to practice recognizing high-frequency words to help learners build reading independence. So let's get started. So with this book, Elena's Neck, the first thing you could do is look at the title page and make predictions about what might happen in the story. This is where you could model with a think aloud. I wonder what might happen to Elena's neck. What do you think? Maybe she hurts it? Let's find out. You could continue to make predictions as you go through the story. For example, on this page,
she yells for help.
Oh, she is yelling for help. Who will come? What do you think they will do? As you read, you could connect the students' personal experience with this problem. You could ask, have you hurt your neck? What did you do? To help students connect to the story and build engagement with the idea of books and reading. You could then discuss other solutions to the problem. For example, in this book,
Elena sits at her desk and has a rest. She feels better.
Okay, she sat and had a rest. What would you do? Would you go to the doctor? Would you take medicine? Would you use ice? Finally, when you're finished listening to each page, you could recap the story by asking something like, so what was the problem in this story? How did Elena get help? To recap, here are a few ways you could use the oral language section of the book. You could use the pictures to make predictions and encourage reading for understanding. Connect the problems in each story to students' lives, and then extend this to include brainstorming possible solutions. Finally, before you move on to the text, you could check for understanding of the oral language and pictures to see if students are ready to move on to the text that matches the story. Now that you have listened to the book, you can focus on reading the story. To start, you could choral read all together, with everyone reading and rereading each sentence together. Depending on the level of your class, you could model thinking out loud to solve unknown words. For example, the floor is I don't know this word. What could I do? I could look at the picture. I see water. I see a mop and bucket. I still don't know. I'll look at the letters. W-E-T. I think the word is wet, but I can check by looking or listening to the sounds.
The floor is wet.
If your class is more independent, students could use each other for help as well. For example, Fatima, when you are reading, if you do not know a word, you can look at the picture, look at the letters, listen, or ask a friend. Finally, when students have read and reread the story several times, you could read it to them with errors to check for understanding and encourage active listening skills. For example, she hurts her foot and has to get help. Is that right? Oh, she hurt her neck. How do you know? Oh, look at the picture. She is holding her neck. Look at the letters. N-E-C-K spells neck. Oh, thank you for helping me. To recap, in this section, the focus is on building reading strategies, reading fluency, and reading comprehension. You can model how to use the audio, pictures, and text to help when you see a new word. You can use language like look at the pictures, look at the letters, or ask a friend for help. You can focus on reading fluency, and you can ensure that students are understanding what they read and also what is being read to them. These stories have been designed with the whole part whole approach in mind. Now that you have listened to the story and read the text, your students have context for practicing blending words with short vowel sounds. In this part of the digital resource, you and your students can watch an embedded video that models the correct mouth formation for each vowel sound. Let's practice how to make the sound eh. Smile, 2-finger space. Eh. Eh. There are 6 videos, one for short A, E, I, O, and U, and a 6th that reviews all the vowel sounds at once. These videos also include modeling of how to use the interactive activity that follows it. Here, students can practice clicking each letter to hear its sound.
W, E, T,
The finger models how to slowly blend sounds together, which is important for students who need explicit support in how to build their word attack skills.
wet, wet,
Finally, you could go back to the whole and reread the story again with sounding out these words as a focus. To recap, you can help your students develop their phonemic awareness or how to match oral sounds to written letters by doing the following. You can watch the video to practice at the sound level. Then you can practice blending sounds together at the word level. Finally, you can return to the whole story and practice blending skills in the context of a sentence. The last focus of this series is to help students build a bank of words they can recognize right away, otherwise known as sight words. Some sight words, like students' names, have meaning to them, but many high-frequency words in English are harder to connect to anything personal. These words that come up often in texts, such as the, to, is, are best practiced in a variety of ways. After you reread the story a few times to give your students exposure to sight words in context, you can practice them on their own on their review pages. Is, at, the. The review pages at the end of each story have the words with audio so students can read and listen. Once they have done this, you could go back to the story by clicking on Slides and try finding the sight words in context. At, her, and, has, oh, this page has a lot of sight words. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, you could have students practice spelling sight words as a class or in pairs to help them move these words to long-term memory. The goal is that students will recognize these words automatically and don't have to sound them out every time they encounter them, as this will help with reading fluency and especially with reading comprehension. To recap, you can practice sight words with your students by exposing them to high-frequency words in the story altogether, Then practicing them in isolation on the review pages at the end of each book. Then going back and rereading, trying to find the sight words in the context of the story. Finally, you can do different activities to move sight words to long-term memory, such as spelling them with a partner or on their own. In this video, we have seen how the Literacy Center of Expertise Phonics Stories 11 through 20 are designed in 4 parts. They can be used to focus on oral language development and developing thinking strategies, how to use reading strategies to solve words and focus on reading fluency and reading comprehension, how to blend sounds together using a whole-part-whole approach, and how to build a word bank of high-frequency words that students will recognize automatically. To end, here are a few ways you could extend the books into writing activities or allow students to reread throughout the semester to build reading fluency and, most importantly, reading confidence. Check out all 10 stories on the Literacy Center of Expertise website and stay tuned for our next series of 10 coming in February 2023.